Welcome to Now on Android, your ongoing guide to what's new and notable in the world of Android development. This week is part 2 of our series covering the happenings at Android Developer Summit, or ADS 2021. To begin with, we had lots of Jetpack Compose focused sessions. One of the biggest announcements at ADS was the introduction of Material U into Jetpack Compose. So Nick's Implementing Material U using Jetpack Compose talk is a great place to start. It covers a broad range of topics like new and updated material theming and components, dynamic color, system UI changes, interoperability with the Material U themes in Android views, and more, along with implementing them with help from the new Android X Compose Material 3 Jetpack library. Also, check out the recording of the Jetpack Compose with Material U #AskAndroidLive question and answer session. Speaking of Material U, Rhodey and Ivy dove into understanding and applying dynamic color in Material U, applying dynamic color to your app and brand. It covers the new tonal palettes, how to use reference tokens, and exploring how this will look in your app with the Material Theme Builder in both standalone and Figma variations, as well as the Material 3 design kit. Nick and George then took you on a deep dive into Jetpack Compose layouts to help you understand Compose's layout model to build exactly the layouts your app needs with more performant code. They examined how the layout model works under the hood and its capabilities, how the bundled layouts and modifiers are built, and how you can easily create custom layouts and modifiers. Then Chris talked about design to code, turning handoffs into high fives, sharing a glimpse of how we're addressing mid-C handoffs of UI between designers and developers. The material design team is working with Figma to create a design to code workflow that allows teams to create UI components in Figma and export them to a UI package. This package can be edited in Figma, used directly in Jetpack Compose projects for Android applications, and can be directly updated in code. There's an early access program available. Yuichi and Doris then covered the way we reimagined Android animations for Jetpack Compose, including state-based animations that cover common use cases, as well as coroutine-based animations for more complex scenarios. Manuel explained how to use Jetpack Compose's automatic state observation, including the basics of Compose's state holders, when to hoist state, and using Android View Model as a state holder. Finally, Takeshi covered the changes to app widgets in Android 12, and Marcel previewed the upcoming Glance APIs, which will allow you to define app widgets using a Jetpack Compose style syntax. The Mad Skills series was a big part of ADS, with lots of new technical content covering modern Android development. To begin with, Tor and Jamal covered what's new in Android Studio, including frame lifecycle profiling support in Android 11 Plus, improvements to the embedded emulator in Studio with full extended controls, and visual linting with device classes to better support large screens. Tor also demoed new and upcoming Jetpack Compose related features such as interactive previews with animation scrubbing support, live literal preview support, and live editing. Elif then did a deep dive into what's new in Room, covering auto migrations, including more complex migrations that require an auto migration spec, relational query methods, enum type converters, query callbacks, support for paging 3.0 APIs in RxJava 3, and experimental support for Kotlin symbol processing for faster compilation speeds. Manuel and Jose covered how to load data into Kotlin flows, transform it, expose the data to users in your UI, and how to test it, all within the context of reactive programming. They cover the use of the lifecycle-aware repeat on lifecycle and flow with lifecycle from Lifecycle Runtime KTX 2.4.0. James discussed Camera X 1.1, including the new Video Capture API, easy YUV to RGB conversions, extensions beta APIs, and more. Rahul and Ben covered Work Manager, including the basics of how to request and cancel long-running persistent tasks, when and how to use the expedited work APIs, how to use Work Manager to write solid, performant multiprocess apps, and how to use the background task inspector within Android Studio. Amanda and Sean explained the importance of emojis, why it's critical to support the latest emojis, and why you should update to AppCompat 1.4. The rest of the talk covers how it all works and the way we've optimized Emoji 2. Evan and Scott discussed how to benefit from the changes in the 7.0 release of the Android Gradle plugin, including performance-enhancing features such as KSP support, migration to non-transitive resource classes, and safe configuration caching supported by updates to the build analyzer. They cover how to make your custom Gradle task compatible with configuration caching and how to extend the Gradle plugin with its new APIs. Don and Andrew introduced the alpha release of Jetpack Media 3, a collection of support libraries for media playback, including Exoplayer. They explained why we created Media 3, what it contains, the benefits it provides, and how to get started using it in your app. Finally, the modern Android development #AskAndroid live session took questions on architecture components, Kotlin, Android Studio, and performance. Android is available across many form factors beyond phones, tablets, and Chrome OS laptops, including watches, TVs, and cars, enabling you to leverage your Android development skills to bring your content to a wide variety of devices. First, Maya and Jeremy covered the new Compose for Wear OS developer preview, showing what's similar to the mobile version of Jetpack Compose, what's different, and what's additionally there, so you can leverage your Compose skills to quickly develop your own beautiful Wear OS app with less code. Then Jay and Stav explained how to use the car app library to bring your navigation, parking, or charging app to the 100 plus million cars running Android Auto and the growing list of manufacturers supporting Android Automotive OS. Finally, Mayuri and Brian talked about surfacing your users' unfinished and up-next content on Android TV and Google TV via the Watch Next API, and how to use Android's APIs to stream the highest quality audio and video. My session covered what we're doing to streamline your game development, including the Android Game Development Kit, or AGDK. It highlights the basics of what Android Studio brings to NDK development, using Visual Studio to develop games with the Android Game Development extension, and developing with the AGDK C and C++ libraries such as Game Activity, Game Text Input, and Game Controller Input. I also covered the basics of bringing your game to more screens such as TVs, Chromebooks, phones, and tablets. Finally, you'll learn how to take advantage of Play Asset Delivery, Android Performance Tuner, Reach devices, the Android GPU Inspector, and Play Game Services. Finally, we covered what we're doing in Google Play to help bring your app or game to end users, along with changes you'll need to be aware of. In the What's New in Google Play session, Lucy covered the new and updated Google Play features such as Android Vitals, ratings and reviews, reach devices, and in-app messaging for Play billing subscriptions. She also talked about the improvements we're making for trust and safety, updates for games, and a new store listing certificate course. Dom and Solène introduced the upcoming Play Integrity API that allows you to determine if your backend service is interacting with your genuine binary that's been installed by Google Play on a genuine Android device. It helps you deal with cheating, tampering, fraud, theft, unauthorized usage, and more. That's it for this time, with ADS updates from Jetpack Compose, Material U, Mad Skills, Android TV, Android Auto and Automotive, Wear OS, Game Development, and Google Play. Please like, subscribe, share, stay safe, and tune in next time for the latest from the Android developer universe.